What's up, everybody? Skyler the Dungeonologist here. I got a new haircut, and I'm starting a new sandbox campaign, which means
a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
ADHD in my brain means that I want to get lost in the world-building spiral. So I need to limit the space where I'm allowed to do that stuff. Make sure at least most of what I do is going to make it to the game. I also want to finish this world, insofar as that type of thing is possible. I know that it's never really done, that the players and I can always add one more thing, and that the things that they do are going to change the shape of the world. But I want to finish the map. I want to know what's in all the places on the map. I don't want to do all that today. Today I just want to build a framework where tacking those things on in a modular fashion is even remotely possible for someone like me. And I want to do it in such a way that I can look back and remember those games. So today we're going to make a world journal, which means we're going to take a look at our world and zoom all the way into where the players are starting and build from there. If you're journaling along, grab your favorite utensil and notebook. You know that I'm in love with Baron Fig, so I'll be using one of their softcover Vanguards. If you like dollar store notebooks and big pens, that's fine too. If you're not journaling and you're just a freak like me who loves watching stationary porn, then buckle up because it's gonna get weird, and let's get started. Because my brain is a bag of angry rodents, I did not number the pages first. You should always number the pages first. A lot of people throw their index on the very first page. When I open this notebook, I want to get in the headspace of this game world, so I've transcribed a poem of mine that inspired the game. Our index is basically going to be built into our kingdom spread on the next 2 pages. As you can see, I'm using a smaller softcover notebook, only 70 pages or so. That's because I enjoy using multiple notebooks zoomed in at different levels, one for my world, kingdom, and region spreads, and another smaller notebook for each of the region's hexes. You can get one big notebook instead. Baron Fig's Confidant has the pages for it, so do the Artist Loft notebooks at Michael's. To give this page a little pizzazz, I'll supplement it with a sketch and some mild liner coloring. I just do this extra stuff so it's fun while I'm filling out the journal. You can do whatever you like. The next 2 pages are going to be for our world spread. I just used World Spinner to get the general shape of the continents and redrew the world map in the upper left corner. One of the easiest ways to make a spread look more interesting is washi tape. I try not to use it too much, but I just happen to have the perfect tape in my desk. Under the map, I'm going to put the names of my moons. I'll figure out their cycles later. Next, I ink in anything I don't want smudged or erased, and color in the ocean like an impatient child at Applebee's. Up next, I'm going to color code my kingdoms. There are 5 total. I picked 5 because it worked with the number of pages divided by the number of spreads. I'm leaving some space to describe each one at a glance. And I'm not worried about naming each kingdom now or figuring out what they do, but I do fill in the page number for each kingdom spread. I laid the whole journal out in InDesign first, but you can do the same thing in Microsoft Word or on index cards or scratch paper, just to get a feel for how many pages each thing is going to use. Next up is probably my favorite thing about world building, the calendar. I'm a huge advocate for the Greyhawk style calendars, where every season begins with a 7-day festival. Most of them are descriptive, like Brewfest, which is Fantasy Oktoberfest, so it helps the players understand what's happening in the world during this time. It makes it easy for me to remember in-world holidays for each culture, because they're probably going to take place in those same 7-day periods all over the world. Why? Because it's convenient. Beneath the calendar, I'm going to list 3 things that are really important to me in game worlds. 3 big secrets, 3 fallen empires, which represent my 3 eras of technology, and the eras in which I can run the game. The time before, when ancient tech prospered and human culture was advancing towards something brilliant. The time of turmoil, when all of that began to decline and eventually faded into ruin. And after, when all that's left of civilization are scattered points of light in a world reclaimed by the wilderness. Since you've gotten a look at how to make a spread, and because I got a visit from the footage corruption goblin, I'm going to skip to the filled out versions of our world, kingdom, and region spreads once the calendar is filled out. In the meantime, if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss the next video, hit that subscribe button. Our first kingdom is the Tecton Alliance, a nation of burgeoning technology. The information in the spreads refers to the age after where I'll be running most of my game, or when I'll be running most of my games. Since I have 5 kingdoms, I'm giving each a planar affinity, and I'm going with the classic 4 elements plus spirit. The Tecton Alliance will be affiliated with the elemental plane of Earth, so I'll give them a portal to the plane on the continent. For my secrets, players of mine, continue at your own risk. But I've placed a Godhood Ascension artifact somewhere in the world. The moon is imprisoning something. And there are fast travel spots. There are fast travel spots that look like Stonehenge. Thank you, Matt Colville, for that last one. My past empires are based on mythical China, ancient Rome, and an alternate Rome if the Gauls had united and utterly destroyed them. I'll upload scans of this to my Patreon so you can get a closer look at all this information and how I would use it in game. For the Tecton Alliance's kingdom spread, I've divided the 3 regions and placed the capital. Our first region, and the one we're going to fill out on the next spread, is the Foundry Coast. Factories and refineries here prosper along the rivers that flow toward the coast. Our second is the Boreal region, where it's very, very cold year-round, and therefore ideal for working with unstable materials that might otherwise violently explode. Mount Prodigal is our third region, so named because the second moon in the sky, Prodigal, sits perfectly atop it once per lunar cycle. This is where the portal to the Earth plane is, and it once housed the capital of the Tecton Alliance before the incident. Their arcane magic is much stronger than their divine magic, since they prize artificers over any other profession. Even their priests are probably artificers. I'm giving each kingdom 6 points of magical power to divide between arcane and divine, so we're at 4 in arcane and a 2 in divine. They're ruled by a council of 4 representatives inside the city of Adamant. Their culture is focused on refining materials and creating new technology, so any educational institution they have would probably focus on that. That means their folktales and plays are probably about inventors and engineers. For taboos, I've decided that anyone below a certain artificer rank caught using exotic materials will be punished, since they are magically unstable and could cause a lot of harm. The founding myth is that a muse spirit called the Maker once lived in the world as a person and fashioned the sacred artifacts that allowed this land to be claimed and settled. The Maker's seal can be found today on many artifact-level magic items. On our region spread, I'm giving each region 16 hexes, so the hexagons I've drawn on the map up top each represent an area of 24 miles, also known as 1 day of travel at normal speed in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. In a separate journal or maybe on some index cards at the table, I'll decide what encounters and features are in each little hex, but this journal only zooms in as far as individual regions. My factions are 3 guilds, a religion, and a very rich family. Since the capital is in this region, the important people are the rulers of the whole dang nation. I've ranked them 1 through 5 in terms of influence, the merchant family being the most influential and the church being the least, with 3 guilds all in between. Our big urban legend for this region is that there's a huge undercity filled with ancient treasures for enterprising adventurers. Our history tells us that the merchant family used to rule much of this region and that the Aruk Empire built cities in the Age of Turmoil that serve as foundations for much of the Foundry Coast. The next page, I've given them a fantasy festival during the period where everyone else is having that aforementioned Oktoberfest. The Foundry Coast hosts enterprising inventors from around the world, like the Chicago World Fair, but for wizards. Our landmarks are an ancient watermill, a floating orb that serves as a lighthouse, and a brass dam that harnesses water in motion to generate arcane energy. Finally, our monster factions are the Altered, creatures mutated from mad science, and Sahagwan tribes who hate dams and mills. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and a heartfelt thank you to my patrons. If you want to join them, they're at patreon.com/dungeonologist. There's a link to our Discord in the description. It's full of people helping each other wrangle the ADHD beast and prep their best ever game. If you want to stay up to date on all things Dungeonologist, find me on Twitter and on Instagram. If you have a question you want answered, tweet it out with the hashtag ADHD&D. I'm stoked to announce that we're doing a live stream journal along on YouTube Live. I will skillfully edit in the time and date for that right here. And until next time,
I have no memory of this place.